altcoin season index is at 79. And what does that mean? It means we could be right at the start of a new altcoin season. But the crucial question now is, can you profit from it without falling into the FOMO trap and buying at the top? Many investors completely missed the altcoin season in 2021, or they bought in way too late. The result, instead of 50 or 100 times returns, all they got in the end was frustration. And now, in September 2025, the same game is starting all over again. Bitcoin's dominance is falling, capital is flowing into altcoins, low caps could pump 100 or 200 times, but without a plan, you risk getting left behind. I still remember 2021. Everyone was talking about Dogecoin, about Shiba, but the real winners were projects that no one had on their radar yet. Back then, I learned for myself that I need data, I need indicators, I need a system, otherwise, in the end, it's just like playing roulette. And that's exactly why I built the 10x Elite. Of course, I could say a lot now about what the 10x Elite is all about. But it's best if I just introduce it to you now, one part at a time and in detail, and then you can decide for yourself whether it would personally add value for you.
But a quick disclaimer. My channel does not provide financial advice. It's for informational purposes only.
Yes, and this is what it looks like once you've joined the 10x Elite. This is basically the dashboard. On the left, you can see all the information you need, all the different announcements and info, so to speak. Here, the first thing we have is news. For example, I post here whenever I make changes, when I expand the 10 times Elite, because I'm constantly expanding it. So as I said, everything I do is ultimately reflected in the 10x Elite for you, and I post everything there. Then 10x trades, whenever I buy, sell, or take profits, I post it here so that you're always fully informed. Then there's the Zenix indicator. I post there whenever there are changes to my indicator, meaning when the market changes. Let me briefly explain to you what my Zenix indicator actually is. My Zenix indicator was developed by myself and I kept it as simple as possible. I'm a fan of keeping things uncomplicated, and as an example, in the daily time frame, I use the dollar cost averaging indicator. That means, of course, I invest every month, but I still want to have the best possible entry points. So I don't just invest blindly on any given day. Instead, I use dollar cost averaging when my indicator flips to green. The advantage, of course, is that this way I always get the best entry points. You can never hit it perfectly 100% of the time, but with the indicator, the chances are definitely much higher. For example, here would be an entry point where I would have invested, or here. Now, of course, this is advantageous, but for short-term trades or for the altcoin season, I have my 4-hour indicator. In the end, it's already on slightly shorter time frames. For example, here, a very short time frame. Here it triggered, here it went up a bit, here it was also good, here it triggered again, which would have been an entry point for the trade, and up here would have been an exit point. In any case, as you can see, it's more geared towards short-term trades. You'll definitely see all of that then. In the end, of course, I post all of this in my 10 times Elite. Yes, and next we also have market updates, which are also quite interesting. Once a week on Sundays, I post what happened in the last 7 days. All information, fear and greed, altcoin season, social media, but also Bitcoin and altcoin shards, macroeconomics, my 10 times indicator, and my own personal opinion and conclusion. So here again below, I will post everything in full. And of course, if there are any market changes, I will post them in the market updates. Then my hidden game radar. When I find altcoins, especially in the low cap range, that are extremely exciting, the 10 times Elite are naturally the first to hear about them. Before the video drops on YouTube, you can get information here. You will receive a PDF report. Then, of course, you get what is the project. Then, what are the key facts, my score, the conclusion in the end, where you can buy it, which is also very important because you can't get every altcoin everywhere. And that way you get comprehensive early information about a specific altcoin, especially in the low cap range. When I do new analyses, on the one hand, I make analyses on YouTube and upload them there as a video. Of course, I also personally analyze a lot of altcoins and constantly keep an eye on which ones are interesting. That's why I've now started making these analyses available as a 10 by Elite PDF. Whenever I do research, find altcoins or analyze them, the 10x Elite gets the analysis as a PDF. And I also post them in my 10 times ranking list. But let's move on for now. Don't be surprised about my watch list. Everything here is a bit blurred, of course. Ultimately, this is only accessible to the 10x Elite. Here, I post which altcoins are currently on my general watch list. Then, as you know, I post the well-known 10 times ranking list at the end of every video. Like I said, I have every altcoin I've ever analyzed on there. By now, there are already over 90, but the number is increasing significantly since I'm analyzing a lot more now, especially as part of the altcoin series. And as I said, here you get a result in percentage terms showing which altcoin is actually the best, because there are so many altcoins. How are you supposed to know whether an altcoin is good or not? And that's why I basically developed the 10 times formula. In any case, you have everything here. You have the information, the narrative of the altcoin, you have the symbol, the name, the result in percentage, in the ranking. You have the analysis either on YouTube or as a PDF report. For example, I can show you a PDF report, what the 10 times elite gets from me. That's quite exciting. Here, for example, this is a PDF analysis report. You get the information. What is the altcoin actually? What makes it unique? Of course, you get the complete 20 metric analysis. You then get a conclusion, of course, the result in percentage and the different price scenarios at the end. So basically you get a complete overview because, as I said, I also analyze many altcoins independently of YouTube, and that's how I share the analyses with the 10x Elite in the end. The next point, of course, is my portfolio. Here I've displayed my portfolio. You see Amarang, which is of course right at the top. That's where I've obviously invested the most. But of course also with the ticker, with the name, again with the link to the analysis or to the PDF analysis and where you can buy it. Then here I also have my activity. So everything I've bought, everything I've sold is listed here in the end. And then we also have my academy, which I am still continuously developing. In the future, I actually want to create a bit more video content there. In any case, here my CX investing rules are explained, and then the 20 key metrics are explained in full detail. What exactly is each key metric and what is it good for? Then, an explanation of my 10 times formula, and ultimately an explanation of how I do the mathematical calculations for the price scenarios. So this way you learn and are fully informed. Then finally, I also have my 10 times coaching. I'm offering coaching here, essentially via Telegram coaching, either over 7 days or 30 days, so it's also extremely exciting. If you're interested in the 10 times Elite, I have a QR code here. If you're on your PC or watching on TV, you can simply scan it with your smartphone. Otherwise, just check the video description or the pinned comment. I've also linked a video here of the 10 times Elite tutorial. Thank you very much for your attention. See you in the 10x Elite. Let's 10x.